Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. If you're just joining us online, you missed a portion, and that's because you're not here, and that's not our fault, and we love you anyway, but we're going to keep going. Okay, so now, what is the whole point of bringing everybody together? What are we talking about here? Because like community, but we don't use that word. We have a different term for it. Ummah. Now, when we use the word community, it means something different here and different in the English language. When we're saying ummah, we're talking about the family you chose. You have a family you didn't choose, then you have the family you chose. Okay? What's the family we didn't choose? That's the siblings and mother and father and grandparents and everything. You had no part in that. That's the reason. That's what makes it so weird when people take credit for it. Like, my last name is this, and do you know who my parents are? Like, why are you taking credit for that? Allah Ta'ala did all of that. And now you're just like, I am this and I am that. Like, you didn't do anything. What were you, born? You got smacked on the butt and you cried. That's all you did. Like, now you want like cookies and a trophy. SubhanAllah. Okay? Yeah, you didn't choose that family. But if you want reward, if you want something better than cookies and a trophy, right? Then it's about the family you chose. He says, brother, brother had some incidents in the masjid. I don't know if I wouldn't have chose this brother. I did not choose that brother. I'm telling you, I didn't choose. No, but you choose to be a part of the ummah. And then you got to take everybody that comes along with it. Because they're there because Allah wants them there, whether you like it or don't. A Muslim is a Muslim because Allah says that's a Muslim. Whether you like it, like the person, don't like the person, agree, disagree with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is between you and Allah. But it doesn't change the fact of the matter. Muslim is Muslim. Now, where's the problem come in? Here's this. So now let's put these two things together. Masjid and ummah. If you remember the last program that we did, I was telling you about the Baytul Ma'mur, okay, which is actually above the Kaaba. And now this is where the Malaika, that's the Baytul Ma'mur, is where the Malaika do their tawaf. I think it's 70,000 angels every day. And those 70,000, once they've done tawaf, they've done their tawaf of Baytul Ma'mur, they never come back again. And every day is how 70,000. Don't quote me, because if I don't have it right in front of me, you get a little scared. Yeah. Okay, but you get the general idea. Now, from there, these malaika, kiramul katibin, and wakadha, right? They descend from Baytul Ma'mur to the Kaaba. All right? From there, they go to our local masajid. Do you see the connection now? So from there, they go to our local masajid. From our local masajid, they all come here, and then they go to our homes individually. And then you reverse that process during the shift change. If you're not aware of that, Fajr and Asr. This is when the shift change happens with the Malaika. So now, what is the actual masjid? The masjid is actually, everybody loves, like, I'm going for Umrah. MashaAllah, make dua for me. Like, no, you make dua for me. Here's the list, right? Yeah. So, but here's the thing. We value Umrah. I want to go to the Kaaba the first time I see the Kaaba. And those are all special moments. But do you appreciate your local masjid as a part of it? Do you see this as a part of that? An extension of that? That's what our masjid is. Our masajid are extensions of the Kaaba. Now, think about this. What's the purpose? What's the point of this? So now we have this connection, but what's the point of it? It is that it becomes a center, the centerpiece, the focal point of ubudiyyah in our communities. I didn't say ibadah, I said ubudiyyah, servitude, to be enslaved. Okay? Where is that supposed to be exemplified? Where is it supposed to be taught? Where is its environment, where it's conducive, that it is produced? Where is all of that supposed to take place? Here, my beautiful brothers and sisters, in our masajid. And if you don't believe it, and if you want to see like what that template actually looks like, look at the a'mal that were present during the time of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and after him in the masajid, more particularly Masjid al-Nabawi. So when you look and you get now this verbal picture, if you will, right, this verbal depiction, right, that like now it's painting a picture for us as far as what the environment was like. I'm telling you, this isn't it. This isn't it. This is not it. So the notion now, they would come into the environment looking to give. It was all about giving. Now, whether that meant sadaqah, that meant teaching, that meant a smile or kind word or advice or raddu salam or cleaning up something, even, look, when we pick up just like a piece of like lint, trash or whatever, like little piece, like right, from the masjid, from the musalla, what happens? It's like you are removing, this is part of the words of our beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's like you're removing the carcass of a dead animal from the masjid. Right? Again, back to the rewards and everything being increased. So now when we're looking at our masjid and we're looking at how we're supposed to function in the masjid, it's gotta be what? I am trying to either learn, teach, or exemplify Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his example, to represent him. That's our job. Is that what happens in our masajid? That a bunch of selfless people come looking for something to give? That's where the problem is. Everybody complains about what goes on in the parking lot or in the wudu area or in the bathroom area or with the board or with the community members or whatever have you. But at the end of the day, like, fine, we've got all these bitter fruits that have popped up on our tree. Okay? So what are we going to do? We're going to go like examine each bitter fruit and like what? We're going to pluck it, but the branch is still there. Next year, it'll produce a whole nother bitter fruit. Why don't we just cure the tree of the sickness? No more bitter fruits. Now, next year, we can actually enjoy a productive, sweet harvest even. So what's the problem? We don't come to the masjid selflessly. We don't come thinking, what am I giving? Because what's the most important thing each and every one, and I'm done because we need to get busy. What's the most important thing each and every one of us is supposed to bring to give? Think about it. And if you think it's money, please don't say it out loud. MashaAllah. Akhlaq. It's number 2. What's number 1? When aren't you supposed to be sincere? What's number 1? What's that number 1 thing you're here to give? Respect? Akhlaq. Yourself? I don't think so highly of myself. Yes. You keep doing it no matter what I say. That if for you, I don't care, like Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, sometimes he would give, like the question would come and they give the answers like, this one's just for you. For you, you are absolutely correct. And you keep that beautiful smile and may Allah preserve it and increase it. Here it is. I already gave you the answer. Your ubudiyah. This thing, not this thing. That thing in here is what you and I are supposed to be bringing to give. Because it's this thing, it's the ubudiyah. It is that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are bringing and we are adding to the overall environment. which is only produced by each and every one of us bringing that thing to the table. The problem is we show up without it. You see why akhlaq has to come second? Because the first thing that we need to bring those doors is our integrity as the abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that way we are bringing something constructive to add to the overall environment, and it will be amplified off of what we said to have an overall impact, not just on my family and my community, not just on Muslims, but non-Muslims, not just now, but until Yawm al-Qiyamah and afterwards. Meaning, are you and I bringing the best Muslim version of ourselves through those doors? Only the people who can say yes should say anything else about anything else external. Don't complain about the parking. Don't complain about the bathrooms. Don't complain about the board. Don't complain about like whether it's hot or cold in here, or whether you like, don't complain until you can like look yourself in the mirror, dead straight in your eyes. Okay? Don't flinch. Don't blink. And ask yourself, am I bringing the best version of me into that masjid, into my home, into those situations, into my relationships, into my interactions with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because that's exactly what it is. Until we can say, yes, we got work to do. Where do we do that work? Right here. Now you understand what shuyukh and ulama are for. They're not slaves and servants at our beck and call whenever, like, you know, we ignore them until we hit difficulties. And then all of a sudden it's like, I need time now, I need time now. It's like, I've been trying to help you this whole time, but you didn't want to help yourself. And now you're in crisis. And now you think that the whole world is supposed to stop on a dime to address your situation that you got yourself in because you would not address yourself. And what's the proof? It's the selfishness that even comes along. All these ulama are dealing with it. All these shuyukh are dealing with it all the time. Some guy or girl pops up, right? And their problem is like this, in their eyes, from their perspective, it's the biggest problem in the world. Their whole life is coming crumbling down around them, right? And they think that you're supposed to stop everything that you're doing to now address their situation. When actually, you haven't, the same thing, right? You never stopped addressing it. Every alim, proper alim and sheikh right now, right? In the khutbahs and their teachings and everything, they are by default addressing every issue that you and I have. The question is are we receptive to it? Are we listening? So now, because I have to draw this connection between this, because otherwise, like, people start thinking like, oh, it's just salah with the jama'ah. I learned this when I was 2 years old, 3 years old, whatever the case may be. It's like, no. This is more than just the actions. Now let's talk about the internal aspect to understand where we're going wrong with the external aspect. For example, we have people that stand up waiting for the iqamah to be called. Why? That's an indication, actually, in terms of a sickness. When the imam begins to say Allahu Akbar, but people are already going into sajda, that is an indication of a sickness that exists within the community. When people are getting up without any dhikr, without their, like, with no sunnah, no nothing, and not even giving salams and just walking out of the door, that is an indication of a sickness that exists within our community. The fact of even the numbers of people who show up for salah and the numbers who do not is an obvious indication of the situation of our community. To such an extent, I am giving advice now, like more like this. Don't be surprised if you see this pop up in a khutbah. I'm having to tell these youths, young people, stop blaming Islam for your parents. Islam is not at fault for your parents. This is a regular thing now. There was a young couple here, a young sister was here today from a Muslim family. And it wasn't even 2 hours ago, in your masjid, I almost gave up Islam because of my parents. I held Islam responsible, thought it was Islam. You don't know how often that's the case. I talk to so many young people, and it's actually their parents and their community, their culture, they blame Islam for that. And then they want to leave Islam. When actually Islam is like, no, actually if they would have been listening, like Islam would have told them, don't do this and don't do that, and you should do this, you should do that. Balance in this, you're too extreme in that. But they didn't. And now you want to hold Islam to blame for your parents? They chose that life and lifestyle and understanding. They chose to be that way. Don't blame Islam. What way have you and I chosen to be? Is it an accurate representation in the eyes of our children, of our beloved Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? If our children go to Sunday school, y'all already know how I feel about that. I'm not saying there shouldn't be one for those of you who are new to it. I'm just saying, like, yeah, what are you doing? Allah Akbar. So anyway, so the kid goes to Sunday school and he's learning stuff in Sunday school. Let me ask you a question. As the child is now in Sunday school, like all the other Christians are on Sundays, are they going to come home and actually see what they've been taught being practically applied in their homes, in their schools, in their social gatherings, in their peers? And if not, which is unfortunately most of the times the case, who is there to help these children process this nifaq? You send me to this place, and they teach me this, this, and this. And then everywhere else I go, I see the opposite. And then we get upset with them for being confused. We get upset with them for being upset, for holding us to blame. When actually, it only makes sense. They're young. They're inexperienced. They were counting on us. And we failed them. And now this is their situation. So how do we fix this? Right here. Right here. Okay? Now, let's stand up. We're going to start from this saf. Everybody line up. Same deal. Okay, salah with the jama'ah. قال الله سبحانه قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يد الله على جماعة أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Put one gap in between. So everybody, give yourself enough room because you need to be able to see. If you need a third saf, that's okay. Here, let's make it easy. Watch this. Everybody fill up the saf. Fill it up all the way, as if we're making salah. Fill it all the way up. We'll do just like last time. No gaps. Please make sure that your rows are straight. There are no gaps in between you, and that your cell phones are turned off. Good? We've got all kinds of room down on this end. Fill it up all the way. Quickly, gentlemen. Now, those who are in the second saf behind them, go one saf backwards, please. Perfect. Now, same thing. If I tap you, take one step back. You'll see the pattern. It's every other person. You're going to take one step back, and now you are going, if I tap you, you are going to occupy the second saf. Please stay where you're at. There should be basically a person gap in between each and every person. You with me? Okay, quickly now. You stay there. Stay. Step back. Next saf back. If I tapped you. Third saf. Come with me. Here. Next one. Here. Next one here. Next one here. 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 Young man, you're here. Bump down, gentlemen. Come on. Give some room. Next one here. Next one here. Then here. Here. Where's my last person? No more? All done? Good. The whole point of making salah with the jama'ah, one of the big issues that people have is when they bring their kids. We're going to deal with this right now because people get upset, especially fathers, uncles, etc. And they're like, well, how come my son can't stand next to me in salah? You should be happy we're here in the masjid. You don't understand salah. Please stop making these very silly statements. Would you put your child on the front line in an army? I hope not. But he's with me. He's 4 years old. This is the ranks of men. These are the defenders of the women and children, the sick and the elderly, the helpless and incapable. Do not put a young child in the south with a bunch of grown men who need to understand that they have grown men responsibilities. Leave something for them to look forward to. It used to be it was a rite of passage. One day, I'll be able to stand on the front saf as a man, as a Muslim. But we robbed them of that. Now there's no rite of passage. Now why? Because we don't care. Because we don't understand what it's for. This place right behind the imam, okay, that everybody loves to try to fill up quickly. People want to call the adhan and so on and so forth. Basically, your understanding of these three spaces right here, the one directly behind the imam and to either side of the imam, you should understand this is only for those people who are capable of leading salah. If you do not, or if you are not capable of leading salah, do not stand in these three places. Because if the imam, and again, there's no way in the world I would ever try this, so you know, okay? But technically, we're supposed to be able to. If I'm leading salah and something happens, I need to break my wudu, right? I am technically supposed to be able to just now do what? Pull him up. He will continue where I left off. And now I just go handle my takaza. I handle my business. Do you know what would happen if I turned around like these days? Jazakallah khair, habibi. Do you know what would happen if I something like that and I just turned around and was like, yeah, brother, come on, like you. Oh, everybody's breaking the salah. The brothers argue. We're like, brother, why are you grabbing me? MashaAllah. Right? It's the same thing. So there's just so much about salat as far as like these leniencies that actually exist in the salat that we can no longer apply because we just don't have the basic knowledge base. Okay? All right? Now, but the reason also is because if the imam makes a mistake, you want those individuals who are qualified to correct him behind him. Because again, just like in Ramadan, like the Qurra, right? They make the announcement in Na'imma, and they say that like, look, don't try to correct me all the way from the last saf, right? We have somebody for the nutqa and everything. We've got somebody for that. We don't need your chiping in, right? All the way from the back or this one and that one and mashallah. Okay? So these spaces should be for those who are capable of leading salah. Now the question is, who's capable of leading salah? If you know how to make salah on your own individually, it does not qualify you to lead salah with the jama'ah. There's a whole nother layer of rules, regulations, do's, don't do's, understandings, etc. Okay? So that means that we need, so as far as like who should be able to lead salah here? Who? Besides me? Every last one of you. Every last one of you. Why? You ever heard of the term Rabbul Bayt? Lord of the house. In your home, you are the Rabb. In your home, you are the Amir. In your home, you are the leader, you are the Imam, you are the teacher. In your home. Which means what? How are you going to lead your family in salah? How are you going to teach them? How are you going to lead them? Because believe it or not, you can actually understand leadership through understanding leadership in salah. To what extent? Brothers get shocked because I come to their homes, they honor me with an invitation. I come to their homes and salah time comes in and they're like, Sheikh, lead the salah. I said, brother, this is your home. Like you actually have the first right, not me, to leading salah, as long as you meet certain conditions. Here, even here, you're my imam. So now, who here should be able to lead salah? All of you, except those who are immature. What happens when you travel? If there's just 3 or 4 brothers traveling, it's like what? Like, who's going to lead salah? Oh, not me. I'm just an individual musalli, thank you. No such thing. So now, here's the question. Who's going to take the time to learn? That's what we're going to find out later. Who is actually going to, like, you don't know now. Who is actually going to take the sacrifice of time, effort, and money to learn, to remove your ignorance so that you can lead your families and also lead your community correctly? That's where the rubber meets the road. All right? Now, next thing. When we're making salah with the jama'ah and we're talking about adab al-masjid, when we come into the masjid, what are the etiquettes? First of all, does anybody know the dua? So like there's a multitude of duas, but there's any dua for coming to the masjid? Anybody? Louder? One. That's coming into the masjid. Coming to the masjid. What did Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what would he do? We've gone over this. I know I've done it with you. What did Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Now you're walking to the masjid, you're driving to the masjid, like what's the dhikr? What's the dua? That's the dua for traveling. Allahumma ja'al li nuran fi qalbi wa nuran fi qabri right? Wa nuran min bayna yadayya. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is asking for nur. Because why? Because of the explanation that we gave before. The nur comes down, Baytul Ma'mur, to the Kaaba, then goes to the masjid. And then from the masajid comes to our home. So what are we doing? We're actually going from our homes to a source of nur. Masjid is supposed to be a source of nur. Light, enlightenment. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's going to the masjid. He's doing what? He's making dua, oh Allah, give me nur, make me nur. And then what is he also doing? He's removing what you and I would call the impediments of teaching. What are the impediments of teaching? Our sins. How do you get rid of it? Istighfar. Now what happens? You and I are doing istighfar. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, with every step, sins are falling away. With every step. But do you believe that? Good. That's Iman. So now I was like, I don't know, I'm the worst Muslim in the world. Walk to the masjid then. If you really believe you're the worst Muslim in the world and you wish you could be better, you get off your behind and walk to the masjid and do istighfar and at least prove to yourself that you're serious and committed to change. Does that make sense? Now, we got the dua. You come in. What's usually the situation with the shoes? Go ahead and have a seat real quick. Right where you're at. Don't leave. What's the situation usually with the shoes when you go into Masjid? All over the place. What else? Right at the entrance, tripping over them. Anything else? Like with the shoes? MashaAllah. Y'all forget the one that non-Muslims bring up first. Yep. The smell. It's the first thing they bring up. To what extent? They even noticed it on our musalla. Not here. It was at a different place. Still in the Chicagoland area. They're like, but you guys put the whole thing smells, like feet. You have to clean it regularly. And like, they try to be so polite. May Allah bless them and give them hidayah. I was like, no, basically, that's a whole bunch of kids who don't understand adab al-masjid, have no respect for the masjid. So we got kids, we got adults. They'll go play basketball. They're wearing sweaty sneakers that they've haven't been washing who knows how long, socks. Maybe they're on their third day. And then the feet are stinking and they make wudu and then they put these socks, these nasty socks. They could stand up on their own, by the way, but they put those socks on those wet feet because you got to activate the funk. Okay? And then they come and do this on the masjid carpet where we all put our faces. Yes. So, of course, the carpets smell because of us. Why do the shoe areas smell? Because of us. So, next time you come into the masjid, because I want to move on from this. Next time you come into the masjid, will you please do me, you, and the ummah a favor? Here's an exercise. The next time you come to the masjid, can you please pretend to come to the masjid as a non-Muslim? Like look at it through the empathetic eyes of a non-Muslim. Okay? And now think about your experience. If a new Muslim was walking in here with me right now, right? And they were experiencing the same thing I'm experiencing right now, but without having the cultural or the religious background that I have, how would they perceive us? How would they perceive this environment? What does it say about us? What does it say about us? If you go to somebody's home and their home, like you walk in, right? And there's trash everywhere. You see roaches running around, God forbid. Right? Thank you. First things first, you don't want to go in. That's the first thing. That's 100% correct. What's the second thing? The second thing is you got something to think about those people, don't you? You're going to be thinking something about those people. You're Muslim and you're living like this? And that's Muslims. Now imagine a non-Muslim who doesn't even have our standards, the benefit of our standards, is coming in. And like I said, what's the first thing that they notice, but nobody here mentioned? The smell. For them, it hits me as soon as I come through the door. And they're like, but for us, it's like, that's the smell of masjid. After it's produced in sweat. You're going to open up a whole can of worms. You're not going to like where I go with that one. So I don't know. And everybody's going to blame you too. Right? So now so think about this. So as you're coming into the masjid, try this. Come in and actually think about how a non-Muslim, we're always around them. They're neighbors. We work with them. They're in the grocery stores, right? Just imagine just one of them just walking in with you. You know, another thing, they said, Is this the imam's office? The imam doesn't have an office. They looked at me as if it's a whole nother language. What? Like how? But doesn't he, he's the community, so yes, I know. Don't ask me to explain. It's real. We think that these people don't notice these things. They do. You think they don't notice us in the parking lot after Jumu'ah? During Ramadan? After they just got done sitting in front of the TV and the internet, and it's been telling them Muslims are like this, and Muslims are doing this in the world, and Muslims are doing that in the world. And then they look out of their window to look at who? Muslims. To see how we are. Are you really like that? So what are we showing them? So before we get there, now we're in the masjid. What's our general experience? Like when you come into the masjid, would you say that this is an environment that attracts people? Or is it an environment which repels people? The fact that we have to sit here and think about it says enough by itself. So, second mission. Come to the masjid with only the intention of giving. If you get something, alhamdulillah. And then the question comes, Sheikh, well, what about, the classes and everything? I'm planning on taking benefit. Don't even do that. If you get it, say alhamdulillah. But even then, come to all your classes, any classes, every class, with the intention of what do I have to give to this environment? Allah will always make sure that you get what you're supposed to, without us even focusing on it. Our risk has to come to us. Is this not our aqeedah? So the only thing Allah Ta'ala wants from us is what? Kasbul halal. That's what it comes in a hadith. Seek halal. That's it. Otherwise, you're done. Your risk has to come to you. It does not have a choice. It has to even chase you. Only thing is, what's fard? Kasbul halal. Seek halal. That's it. That's the obligation. Then say, you have to earn this amount. And you have to, in order for to be a real man, a real Muslim man, you must make 6 figures. And you have to make this, and you have to provide this type of lifestyle. Because where is that with Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his family? Where is that with the Sahaba, the names that we know and love, and the Khulafa al-Rashidun and their families? Because they didn't live like that. So where is this precedent that somehow has become so fixed within the Muslim community that our masajid, Buyutullah, have lost their importance, have lost the understanding of their purpose? Meanwhile, in our occupations, where most of us are what? Wage slaves. In what? Buyutu shaitan. And we can tell you all about that. All the details and everything. So now when we're coming into the masjid, this is where we get better. So here's a question, another one. How many times have you been here and you're making salat? Right? I'm asking myself this too. And we do salam, right? Taseem, salam alaikum rahmatullah, salam alaikum rahmatullah. And you don't even know the person on your right or your left. Nor do you even stop to take the time to find out. But our brother said community. Ummah is what we said. How is that ummah? Would you do that to your own family? How many of you would go to a family gathering and not talk to your family members? If you did, you would expect repercussions. Somebody's going to say something. Who does he think he is? Like, what's wrong with him? Is he in a mood? Like what's going on here? Something is wrong, but this is unacceptable. But yet, so we won't do it with the family that we didn't choose, but the family we chose, we feel completely comfortable doing exactly that. And to let you guys know that, like, I'm not talking like this is not coming from nowhere. Last month, I was at a masjid doing a khutbah, and after I came out from the masjid, like there's a whole like situation, the police are there and everything. It's like, okay, here we go. Right? And I'm thinking it's like they done got into a tussle, somebody done like bumped into somebody's car, the usual antics after Salat al-Jumu'ah. No, it wasn't that. Do you know what it was? These brothers, two brothers, are pulling into the parking lot. One pulls in front of the other. You know how it goes. The details are irrelevant. So the second brother, after the first brother parks, the second brother comes up to him in his car, yelling and screaming outside of the masjid, and tells him, I will snap your neck right here. And then proceeds to go in for Salat al-Jumu'ah. So he calls the police are there, and now like this whole, and now when I'm being told like, okay, this is details, blah, 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 I'm like, okay, hold on. And I'm like, okay, we have to be, I'm thinking it was a non-Muslim situation. As Muslim done, right? So I'm thinking like, because there's like a little Dairy Queen thing, so like, okay, fine. So it had to be a non-Muslim. Muslims aren't gonna run around talking about snapping another Muslim's neck, right? I just automatically assumed it was a non-Muslim until I was told that I was incorrect. These are two Muslims from the same community, in the same masjid, that just got done making Salat al-Jumu'ah together. Now we got the police out here, people talking about snapping necks before Jumu'ah and whatnot. Allahu Akbar. Does that attract or repel? What do our kids think when they see that? What do non-Muslims think when they see that? Honestly, what do we think when we see that? So now the giving, because we do this all kinds of, I'm not the only, there's so many ulama that do it, and they do it way better than me. But here's the catch. It's like in terms of like the end result is that everything will finish from right here. And next week will be like last week. And next month will be like last month. And next year will be like last year. So the last challenge and the last question is this. What are you and I willing to do to change it? Like before we start talking about like, oh brother, again, the boards and the bathrooms and the wudu area and this, and I want it like this, and how come the imam doesn't do that? And blah, 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 blah. All that is external. When are we ready to deal with our internal selves? So that way, remember, I'm bringing the best version of me to the masjid, and I'm giving, and I'm completely focused on giving as opposed to taking. I don't have expectations from everybody else. I'm focusing on what they can expect from me. Who's willing to do it? Who's willing to actually love the family that you chose? Give them some time, some compassion. May Allah bless you. Give them time, compassion, forgiveness, understanding. Take the time to develop a relationship with them. Learn their names. So if after salah, like if you're one of them people, like if you see somebody on your left and your right, or like whichever one, like take a moment, give him salams and ask him his name. Introduce yourself to your brother. Inshallah, we are all going to be spending forever in Jannah together. Why not get to know each other here? Does that make sense? Why not provide an environment and an example that we are actually not just pleased, but honored, proud even, to not just bring our children in, which is our first priority, Bring our children and our families into an environment which is conducive for them getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and bringing the best them to the forefront. But then also non-Muslims. That whether they come to our masajid, whether they are interacting with us, or whether they're seeing us interact with each other, they see the proper and accurate representation of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah Ta'ala bless you. You have an importance for salat with the jama'ah. I'm always saying to you guys, like, you know, we're blessed because like it's kind of like, I know we don't feel like it, but it's kind of like we're the cream of the crop. Not because we've given us that status, but because of the indication, because Allah Ta'ala has put us in His masjid. He invited us to His house. He has us as guests in His house, which means we're special. Now we got to show gratitude. So Allah will increase us, right, in that. Now we have to recognize it so we can appreciate it and get all the benefit from it. Now we have to encourage one another, because how can I be comfortable? Well, is that hadith, boy? Allahu Akbar. La ahadukum. Right? It's not one of you. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Not one of you is real about your iman, is complete and perfect in your iman, has an accurate understanding of iman, experientially, practically, unless you love for your brother what you love for yourself. Meaning, if I want the best me at the table, brother, I'm going to, part of that is to exhaust myself to also help you to bring the best you to the table. Now we're a team. Now we're on the same side. Now we have shared interests. Now we have common goals. Now we're family. Now we're family. The type of family that can overcome tribalism, prejudice, racism, all the isms. Our family, because of what brings us together, what bonds us, what ties us. This kalima, la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, it overwhelms, it overcomes all of those ridiculous, superficial, petty differences that divide humanity today. We just have to choose to appreciate it, first recognize it, and appreciate it, and show gratitude for it consistently. You thought we were just going to talk about like the mechanics of Salah with the Jama'ah. The internal first before the external. Or otherwise, mashallah, we will be in action, we will be very accurate munafiqeen. Like, did you see that munafiq make Salah? That was beautiful. Too bad it don't count. That was precise. That was textbook. If Salah were in the Olympics, that's a gold medalist. Yeah. No value without the internal. That's the reason why. No Salah. There's no fardiyya of Salah the first 10 years. Why? Because Allah Ta'ala was building the Salah in their hearts first. The iman, the yaqeen, tawakkal ala Allah. Right? Taqwa. It was built here first. Why? Because, and I'll end with this, this is supposed to be your masjid. How do you know? There are 7 individuals that are protected under the shade of Allah Ta'ala's arsh on Yawm al-Qiyamah. And one of them is Rajulun qalbuhu mu'allaqun bil masjid. No, it's big. Masajid, the Jama'ah. So not just with one. So again, here we go with the whole like ridiculous notion, like if this is my masjid, that's your masjid, that's his masjid, you know, like my masjid versus your masjid, you know, like this masjid versus that masjid, this masjid is better, like, ugh. It's like we never get tired of dividing ourselves up and putting ourselves at opposition with each other. Okay? They're all yours. Everyone that is, as Allah Ta'ala says, that is founded on taqwa, that is your masjid. And your heart should be connected with that masjid, even if you've never been there before. Why? Because the same way these places are connected to the Kaaba, to Baytul Ma'mur, if our hearts become masajid, then it will also be connected with the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the Kaaba, with Baytul Ma'mur. And what do we want from our hearts except that it becomes the sole and permanent residence of solely and only, purely Allah, without any shirk, no partners, sons, daughters, equals, rivals, associates, etc. Make your heart a masjid, a house, a place that is worthy of Allah. And if you understand this, you will understand everything about the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in preparation for this and building this. Questions, worries, problems, concerns? One brother told me, he said, hey, may Allah bless. He said, brother, you get done talking like, I'm shy to ask a question. I didn't know, tell him what you getting ready to say. Here's the catch. It's just our deen, man. Okay? It's not me. Actually, the only benefit that you're getting from me is because I'm just a conduit. It's actually because of the amazing people that Allah Ta'ala put in my life to teach me. Now I just kind of like, this is the face that you associated with it, but it's actually the effort of the people behind me. You're just associating my face with their effort. This is our deen. When people are saying like, I'm blown away, it's so practical. How come I didn't know it was this practical? It's like, because it's not Islam's fault. Again, it's your fault. It's always been this. It's universal. There is no situation that overcomes Islam because Islam overcomes every situation. What do you want to do? You did this. This one, the last one, it was you guys who did this. Like, brother, you've got to start talking about X, Y, and Z, right? Allahu Akbar Kabira, and it's 100% correct. But because, again, it's our house. This is our representation. It's part of your identity, your identity, your identity, my identity. In our homes, in our communities, with non-Muslims, to their government. It's part of our identity. What does our masjid say about us? That we are people of honor, integrity, dignity, respect. That we are courageous, that we are generous. That we are clean and hygienic. That we are forgiving and empathetic and selfless. Because that's what it should be saying. And inshallah, by your efforts and our continued du'as, we can get there. The roadmap is already clear for us. We don't need to recreate the wheel, right? Just put deen into practice. That's it. That's it. Nothing new. Put deen into practice. Be consistent. Lock arms. Go through all the hardships and the difficulties. Don't worry, brother. If we're locked arms, if you fall, that's the thing. We were talking like, mashallah, if I'm by myself and I have to take a hit in life and I go down, if I'm with the ummah, even if I'm dazed, you guys are going to pick me up and carry me on until I get my feet back underneath me. Do you see what I mean? Whereas if I'm by myself and I take that blow, our normal habit is to do what? Like when we go down, we lay there and we think about it for a while. That really hurt. It's very cool with my face on this mat right now. And I should get up. I probably will get up. I'm thinking about getting up. Whoo, that hurt, right? And then we end up laying there like in our own little pity party. And the only reason why we're laying there is because you separated yourself from the ummah, because God forbid you thought you were better than them. You are so focused on your own individual success and your tribal success. It's like, brother, I don't have a tribe. Yes, you do. Now the whole family thing, you know, family is the word for tribe. It's the English word, like the word, they're synonymous here. So even the whole cousin marrying thing out of convenience and whatnot, like that whole thing, it's all tribal. It's exactly, and Bil Arabi is known as asabiyya. It is exactly what you see today. So when people, my family, it's like, Allahu Akbar. Again, the one you didn't choose, and then the one you did choose. So you're willing to put so much focus and emphasis on the one that you didn't choose, but then the one that you did choose, you're like, yeah, if I got time. Maybe. As if I am doing my family that I chose a favor if I show up or do anything. Allah Ta'ala protect us, guide us, help us, save us from our own selfishness, save us from our arrogance, save us from our ignorance, save us from all the little turmoil and conflict and the things that split us apart. Save us when people try to correct us and actually providing us sound advice and correct information, and then we're fighting them, right? May Allah Ta'ala save us from all of the external forces that are trying to stop us from achieving our objective, which is ibadatullah. So may Allah protect us and have mercy on us and our family members, the generations to come. May Allah Ta'ala guard us, guide us, and use us as a means of hidayah for the whole of the humanity. May Allah Ta'ala put it in our hearts to keep each other in our du'as consistently. The du'as of a Muslim for an absent Muslim are maqbool, they are accepted. And the malaika, one is appointed to stand by you, as you're making dua, and says, walak, walak, walak. And for you, and for you, and for you. لنا ولكم أجمعين. آمين يا رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خيرا جزاء. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين برحمتك نستغيث.